as the sun begins to set over the workbench. It's the end of an era for this tired old microscope. It's served well over the last year or so, but it's all good things should come to an end, and it's time we say goodbye, and time to say hello to this. That's right, it's a double stacked box of, well, I done gone splashed out at the Luzky Zoom factory on AliExpress and upgraded. Yeah, did a little bit of research. Honestly, I could not find a lot of info in English about these things. All bar a little video they had of them assembling it. I have no idea what to expect. So you get to come along for the ride, and hopefully I can review it enough that you will know if it would suit your needs as well. But I'm really hoping it'll sit on the workbench and be suitable for everything I do, and you'll get the benefit of that too. As the more perceptive of you have probably established, the bottom one is the heaviest. That's got the base in it. The top one's going to have the head in it, and there were some other goodies as part of the deals, like the LED light and some barlow lenses. Maybe a couple other things we'll find out when we get in there. But yeah, for a mere 600 New Zealand dollars, not a bad little score, I thought. Now, there's plenty of others on the market, but going for desk space and whatnot, I think this will do the job. Right, let's start with the smaller box. So this is the single boom type stand that I got for this one. It has the trinocular port. Ah, look at that, tipping it upside down was the right thing to do. Packed underneath, we look like we have the extras. One microfiber cloth. That'll come in handy. One, what looks like a pouch to throw over it to protect it. Yep. May or may not use that. Kind of gets a bit dusty around here, but it takes a few months to build up on the table, so not so bad. That smells nice. One LED ring light. So oh, that's going to be handy too. It's got the brightness control on the light. I know some of them have it on the power supply, but yeah, going to need to get an adapter or a different power supply. But this is it's what do we got there? 12 volt, half amp, positive center, input suitable for 240 volt, but obviously it's an international plug there. Yeah, so we'll look into getting another maybe an adapter or another power supply for that one. It may have been a bit far away, so we'll just go a bit of a close-up there. I have seen this on other videos, so it seems to be a fairly common one, I guess, that they throw in. Yeah, control on the end, a switch, and input. Right, the rest of the casing is taped all the way around the edge, which is a nice touch, keep it all together. Right, I might need the vacuum with the bits of polystyrene, but there we go. Now I guess everything would sit in the little little holders. Let's see if you can see that. Yeah, so if this was flipped over, everything would sit in the other half quite nicely. It's not too critical what way you open it up by the look of it. Right, well, they looks like they remembered to throw everything in. Here we have the barlow lens, one 1/2 times barlow lens, and one 2 times barlow lens. I believe that increases your field of view, so you can technically get more working distance between the head and what you're working on. Here we've got the eyepieces. Now they're a 10 times eyepiece. I'm not sure what the /20, it's got 10x/20 on there, so I'm not sure what that refers to. I mean, I've never had a quality microscope. I'm going to presume that this is a semi quality unit, not a extremely high quality unit. I've seen the pricing of other ones out there, but feels nice. It's metal, and the lenses are all glass, so that's good. They appear to be glass. I'm pretty sure they're glass. The other lens, and what we got here? Here's the rubber cups for the eyes. Just a plain rubber cup. I've seen cups that have like a overhang, but these look like just plain round rubber cups, so they'll be just fine. I don't have any on the one that I've been using, so everything here is an improvement. Even if it was the lowest grade one could imagine, everything here is going to be an improvement. Now what's this? They really throw in, wow, they may have thrown in a adjustable, here we go, that screws in there. This is for the camera, I think, for the trinocular port. Yeah, although that's yeah, that would be that. That's how you adjust the focus on the camera, which I haven't yet ordered. I'm definitely going to order one. Oh, that just pops off. Okay, so the cover just pulls off and the camera slots on top. Yeah, I definitely will order one. This is a step in the right direction to showing you guys up close the finer details of what I do, and hopefully help you out in the process. Now, here's the main bracket for mounting the head onto the boom. That looks quite nicely polished down in there. Feels smooth, so that should rotate nice and freely. I plan on putting a bit of grease in the moving areas as well, just to make sure that we don't get any catches. Kind of feels like there could be something actually catching there. So may have, I know they assemble them and test them before they ship them out, so whether a locking screw was slightly in, they moved it, it may have scored it up slightly. I don't see that's going to be a major issue, but a little bit of grease in there might not go astray, just a light grease. But as we can see, if we turn, can I turn the handle? That's here we are. That's moving that up and down there. That's good. Feels nice and firm. It's not going to roll away on us. I'm picking there might be an adjustment for how firm that is, just based on the fact that my other one has got an adjustment, but I really don't know at this stage. One locking screw on the side here. There's a hole there and there for one. I'm pretty sure one's going to be enough anyway, and I might like to leave it loose so that I can rotate the head regardless. So, but there is only one. I will take it that only one is necessary to hold it in position. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so the ring, the locking. I thought it might just be a thread that goes through and stabs the shaft to lock it, but it's actually a clamp, a band that it's compressing. And you can see the band compressing around there to grip the shaft all the way evenly, so it's a nice touch. Yeah, we'll make sure that's facing, not really facing the ends of it. Don't want to be facing the thread, but otherwise that's good. Now the head, not too sure sort of weight. Yeah, feels like a human head. Just kidding. No, it's probably about, I don't know, what would that be, a couple of kgs perhaps. But everything is capped. Everything's capped. The eyepieces inserts are capped. The bottom's capped. The trinocular port's capped. Everything just to keep dust out for sure in transit. Everything's bagged, but we wouldn't want to be getting anything in there. The finish on here, what would I say? I guess, I mean, I haven't used one of these, so I guess these are plastic. Whether all around here this is all plastic, whether the high-end units are metal, but this is this bottom section feels like metal. This top section, yeah, that's metal as well. So the main unit's metal, and this is a always engaged trinocular port, I believe. So here, where there'd normally be a selection lever to turn it off and on, I believe it's always on. We have, I guess that's the focus or the zoom. That's probably the zoom, and the focus is done by the larger wheel on the support. So if we take this off, the whole thing's unscrewing. Is that normal, or should the bottom come off? I think this is normal. No, that's not normal. Whoops. Okay, so there you can see the objective. Are they the objective lenses? I'm not entirely sure, but they appear to, they're on a gear. There's gears there. They may move with the, I'm not entirely sure. Do they move with the, when I move the eyepiece? And I try and, no, oh, okay, so let's just move down. Ah, look at that. Okay, so there we go. So there you can see the gears rotate the splines. Okay, yeah, gotcha. Right, so there's lenses inside here, move up and down when you rotate the zoom mechanism. There. Quite curious, but no, do not remove this whole bottom piece. Just remove the cover. Okay, get it back on there. And here we go. So that unscrews. And that's how it's supposed to look. So then our LED light mounts around here, of course, or around here. We'll leave that on for now while we get it set up. Onto the stand itself. Gosh, they sure know how to strap things. It's just that way and that way, that way and that way. More of the lovely polystyrene. Although, given how heavy the base is, I don't think it's the one that needs protecting. If it got let loose All the other cargo will probably need some protection. Ooh. Okay, it's probably taped around the side like the other one. Let's look smarter, huh? Alright. One, still tied in the corner. Viola. So, I'm picking that's the end for the microscope itself. There's the... don't think I had enough wheat bix for breakfast. Yeah, she's weighty alright. I think it's supposed to be about 20 kgs, but she ain't going to be moving anywhere fast. And I'll show you something that I'm really quite keen to see once I've set it up, that I couldn't really find looking around more info on how well it supports at certain angles, so be quite keen to do that and show you guys so you can decide if this is going to suit your needs or not. Everything individually wrapped, which is quite nice. That's going to be our vertical pole, and like I said, that's going to be the end pole, I'm pretty sure, for the microscope to attach to. And here's the main boom, which I was trying to get the measurements on this, but really sort of struggling to find that info. I mean, it gave me a measurement, but it wasn't clear as to whether it was fully extended or from which end to which end or what have you. But looking at the setup on their video and the size of the guy's hand, and I was sort of counting hand spans across the screen to guesstimate roughly how big it was, I think this is actually going to work quite well. But yeah, we'll find out. Again, nice and sort of smooth through there. Same sort of band clamp further down for holding it tight. A little bit of scratching here on the outer finish. Is that's all metal? It's one cast aluminium by the look of it. But yeah, some scratching there, which is a bit unfortunate, but I'm not sure if that's happened in transit, if it's shaken loose and one of the other ends of the poles were clanging around against it, but hard to know. There was a little bit of a scuff near one of the eyepieces on the head too, but you know, I'm not going to worry about cosmetics, not unless it's grossly cracked and gouged out, and you know, it's come from China and it came in a hell of a hurry, so you know, to be expected to a point, I guess. But as long as all the mirrors and lenses and whatnot are optically perfect, that's all that matters to me. I think now I'll probably transfer over to the bench to do the actual setup, and that would make it a bit easier than working on the ground too. You would think I would have cleaned up in preparation for this, say. I don't know. Anyone would think I had a full-time job elsewhere, huh? There we go, it's somewhat presentable. Bye-bye. I'm sure that one's going to be useful for something somewhere one day. Definitely not going to throw it out. Right, we'll start with the base. Oh, now it has got rubber feet on it, so it's going to be a good non-slip, and not that I'm going to be yanking on it to try and pull it around much. I imagine I'll probably set it up in one position and just sort of swing it in and out as I need it, but yeah, we'll see how it goes, see how well it slides. Even like I said, put a bit of grease on there and it might slide even better. So anyway, someone will probably tell me that if you put grease in there it'll just collect dust and become jammed up, but we'll see. I wouldn't want it to sort of wear with the movement of the arm and starting to become sloppy, and then you got hanging at an odd angle. But anyway, that's a time will tell scenario. Now there's no instructions in the box, so I'm just going to do this and see how we go. Let's try this angle and see how we go. Trying to figure out what's going to be the best for you lot. So I'll grab the vertical shaft and thread it in the hole. There's a screw there, a little grub screw, which will stop it from moving once it's in. We better obtain a screwdriver. Appears to be Phillips. So we'll start with that. You like that, huh? Like nails on a chalkboard. Oh yeah, I feel your bones shiver. I wonder if it'll bottom out. It's got to be almost there. Oh, there we go. Right, so we'll pop the screw in, and that's going to stop it from undoing when we're moving the boom around. It'll just help give it a bit more grip. Just push inwards. It's quite tight, but it's you want to make sure that you've got a good grip on the head of the screwdriver and the head of the screw, so it doesn't round out the center. That'll ruin your day. Now this here is a locking collar, so you can set the height at whatever is desirable and lock it there, and then you can swing the boom as necessary, but that will set your main focal height or working height that you'll be comfortable with at the bench. So for the meantime, I don't know where that's going to be. I'll just let it hang for now, and we'll play with that later. So the main boom arm, and that's going to go, it's going to go that way, I think. Yeah, it's going to go that way. So those three are going to go, this is going to lock it on the vertical position, or sorry, it's going to lock it from swinging, and then these lock from moving it in and out, so we can set that, or we could leave it unlocked if we want it to move constantly. So I'll slip that over the top, and that's just resting on the collar there. So now what's interesting, if we do let it sit loose, there's a little bit of up and down movement here, and I'll just show you. This is with the collar loose, so that you can move it. It does sit down slightly, and that little bit of movement, by the time it's extended out to the end of the arm, it could result in it being on an angle that's enough to be annoying, but probably, maybe not. We'll have to see what sort of adjustment we have at the end of the arm with the other piece inserted, but something to think about. If it did wear out in the pivot, that's going to sink a bit lower and a bit lower as it wears out. So hence my thoughts of putting a little bit of grease in certain places. So here we have the other piece of the puzzle, and both ends unscrew actually. So we'll take one end off there. It'll allow me to get it down through here, and the other cap, which I'll leave tightened up at this stage. I don't know if that's supposed to mount above or below. I would guess that whole piece mounts below the arm, but I haven't really thought about it. I want to go with below at this stage rather than above, and we'll try that. So I'll just grab the other piece. Here's where the locking collar is going to become effective, because as this is coming down lower to the bench, so we'll bring that up to a nice working height as far as assembly, and I'll lock the collar there, and then that holds the arm up. So what do we think? Here's the other section. Is that going to prefer to be mounted up from underneath? I think it might. Yeah, I'll have that mounted up underneath, and the other section of pole there is only just sticking out underneath there, so we'll be able to screw the cap on, and that will retain that. I'll just tighten at the back there first. So that's that screw at the back. That'll hold it on the pole while I mount the lower cap, retaining cap. So this is so. Tighten that up there. When you loosen off the one at the back, this doesn't drop off. So it's like a catch. The one at the bottom, which is what we need. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna say that's how we're gonna have it mounted at the bottom. How's that? You can see the whole thing a bit better now. It's actually got quite a reach on it by the time the pole's extended, and then you mount this, and this has got an extension here, so the head's gonna sit that far. I'll measure that for you so you get an idea. If I was to swing that around like that, just so you get a bit of a feel for it, because this is the stuff that I couldn't find when I was trying to buy. So the pole is fully extended in the back of the arm there. So from the center of the pole, vertical pole, to the center of the drop arm there. That's 370 millimeters, so 370 all the way to the center of our pivot here, and then to the center of the bracket for the head from the pole is about 160. So there's a further 160 mil on that. What was I say? 370. So that gives you about that much in total extension, because I was concerned how much working space I would have in front of the base here. And one of the things that I was planning on doing is turning the base 180, and I'm pretty sure that the base will support the weight of this hanging off the back of it. So if it was all the way around the back like that and sticking out the back, that it's not gonna tip over. But it looks like it might. I just touched that and it lifted. So this is all the things that I need to think about, that you need to think about when buying one of these, and this is going to be really good to show what you can and can't do. Obviously it's designed to work over the base. This is the least point of leverage. Even though it's really heavy, that had a bit of a, it was easy to get. If I had the head on that would just fall over. So interesting start. Let's get the head on it and do a few more tests. Alright, here we go. Pop the head. Now, make sure this thumb screw is all the way out. You want to catch that behind the hole, and it should just drop down into place. There we go. That certainly has more weight than it will support running backwards. Just bring that down into view for you. How's that? That's a bit better. Yeah, so that does move quite freely in the neck. If I tighten the thumb screw, that's fairly rigid, and if I partially tighten the thumb screw, well, I don't know if I'd really want to do that. It's just going to grind away on that outer ring, so it either is or it isn't. So I may leave it to move. Really depends on the initial setup, but we'll leave it loose for now. The turn screw on the side, they are plastic, so they've got a bit of a cheap feel to it. This adjust screw for the height is also plastic, but I mean, you know, it doesn't really matter. The mechanism looks metal as long as they're not running plastic gears in there. This model is the 7-to-45 times zoom head. It's got the 7 to 4.5 with the 10 times eyepieces, so that's how they calculate that. And yeah, so let's get the eyepieces in. Okay, so pop off the cap 1, cap 2, and it does look like they actually both adjust, which is interesting because my other microscope only the right eye adjusted, so we get to tune in both eyes there, which would be good. Now it looks like there's a retaining screw on the side just in here, and it looks like there is only one of them, but just be aware you won't want to try and force the eyepiece in because they are fully screwed in, so they're protruding enough to be a problem. Now it's a small Phillips, so I'll probably use something like my handy dandy baby phone screw Phillips. I couldn't tell you what number Phillips, but just enough to clear the hole there. You don't want to undo it too far and have it fall out because you may never find the thing. I know you've all dropped components on the floor. I've done it 100 times as well, and they just disappear. And that's the same for these little screws, so probably don't want to do that. In fact, it might even be a good idea to do it with them facing upwards, just so gravity doesn't want to encourage them to fall out while you're in the process. He says turning it while they're fully extended. Okay, so I've got my screws at the top, and we'll stick the eyepieces. They're not left and right or anything funny like that, so no worries there. And I'm just going to be pedantic and have the writing facing up and lock those in. Now, okay, so all the lock screw does is it stops it from coming back out. They still rotate. I don't know if that's going to be an issue or not. There's quite a gap left around the edge that you may find a bit of dust and whatnot getting into. Just a thought, it's not a perfectly snug fit. I did try and tighten the screw a bit much there because I thought it was actually going to bite onto those and stop them turning, but that is not the case, unless I've done something wrong, because just looking at the side of the lens there, it does double stepped, but this is sitting all the way down, so if the screw was going to touch that, I would have thought it would, but the screw sits, yeah, no, the screw's not going to touch that step, the position it sits in, so don't crank right up on it because it's not going to stop that turning. All you'll end up doing is ripping the thread out of the focus ring that it sits in. So yeah, definitely don't crank up on it. It's just enough to stop those falling out. Now as for the rubbers, you can see in there's a step, and on the other side it's a much bigger step. The smaller step, looking at that, is what's going to go over the end. So it creates a bit of a channel. So that's going to go over like, yeah, and it's kind of, for some reason, not a perfect circle, but I guess my eyes will get used to that. I don't know. What does it look like off the? No, not a perfect circle. Anyway, they're a little bit egg-shaped, but clip that over there, and they don't appear to. They slightly cover the lens in there. But anyway, that's the eyepieces, and I'll give you a better look. There we go. Yeah, it doesn't. They don't appear to block any of the lens, so that's good. That's good. Now, as I said, I don't have the camera yet, but I will add the trinocular port just because I can. Now, is that going to unscrew or pop off? I wonder. Oh, that unscrews. A long thread. Very fine thread. Yeah, so I'll pop that on there, even though I haven't got the camera yet. And I can see there's the lens mirror mechanism down in there, prisms, what have you. I'll get this on before we get dust in there. Might be good to invest in a can of compressed air for blowing out these things should they get any contaminants in them. That just screws down on there. And you can use, even though this is on quite a coarse thread, so and that's quite a fine thread, so it's seemed okay to turn on that just to tighten this lower thread. You can lean on this a little bit to do that, and that seemed okay. It'll unwind quite easily because the thread's so coarse. It's not going to cause the bottom one to unwind first. And there's a lot of grease in that thread. Wow. I don't know if you probably can't see that, but that is shiny. I really hope there's some kind of O-ring or something in between, just to stop any grease getting down and dripping down and below. That will be an interesting one for the future to see what happens there. It's a lot of grease. Nice smooth movement, and I'd say that's what the grease is for. And also because of how coarse the thread is, vibration may encourage it to wind in by itself with the weight of the camera on it. Which you don't want. So yeah, how does that come off? Oh yes, right, okay. Silly me. Right, that's right. That just pulls off. There we go. Keep an eye on that grease. But no, that's very nice. Very nice. I like that. And I can't wait to get a camera. Now the real question is, how is it going to fit on the workbench? And where am I going to put it specifically? So, there's the end of my bench to the left. And as you come across, you can see my shelf unit along the top with the power supplies and the old scope. And the lights, which I've turned off so you don't get a bit of glare at the moment. And then on the bench itself along the bottom, with a scope and the solder iron toward the right, and my vise at the end, which is just somewhere I store it for the meantime. So I work in the middle, and at the moment it kind of sits over the middle. But I think I need it to be in a little more user-friendly position, especially the base. So this is where it gets interesting as to where the base can go in conjunction with the extension of the arm and all the rest of it. So let's have a play. One thing I just noticed when I went to move it this is screwed onto the end of the arm. So if I have this out here, the weight of it is actually going to encourage this to undo, and there is no way of locking that. So if you're thinking of having the base like this, with the head coming across like this, you'll want to be very careful about that, because over time the weight of this is going to encourage this to rotate and unscrew from the end of the bar. So you might seriously consider putting the base on the right hand side so that the arm comes across this way, and that way it'll be around the other way, so you'd have that out that way, and it would be always encouraging it to turn clockwise with respect to the end, so it would always want to stay tight. So that would be a better way to do it if you have to have it so that that comes 90 degrees off the end of the arm, and have the base over the right hand side there. So initial thoughts are that I can have it there, and it will sit pretty much dead center to where I sit, so that would be ideal. But the initial problems I see are, one, I've got it sitting exactly how I told you not to, because it wants to undo the end of the arm, but I don't know it's going to be too much of a problem. It's just something to be aware of. Maybe play it by ear and see how I go. Second problem, where it is, it's the base, the weight of the base is actually not ideal for the way it's weighted, because it ever so lightly wants to tip. I mean, it's only if I put some pressure on it. It's mostly enough weight to maintain it upright, but just the slightest bit of pressure and it wants to come and tip over. I mean, luckily the top of the arm here is being stopped by the light bracket, but I mean that's nothing. So that's where it needs to sit, and initial thoughts are have the base there, but I could possibly put the base directly behind it. It's not really much, that space in the back is not really being used for a lot, and that might actually be a better idea, because well, actually on second thought, I don't know if that pole is going to fit under that shelf. Looking at it, no, it's not, so that's not an option. Oh dear, oh dear. The other option is to have the base over to the right hand side and have the microscope coming across, but I quite like my setup how I've got it over there. With that's where the scope is, and the solder iron, hot air station, because I'm right-handed with soldering. It's just a perfect place to put it. So I mean, if I was going to have it, it would sit kind of between the hot air and the thing, but I mean the solder iron on top, the black box on top of the hot air there, the power cord is very short. If I had to move that, yeah, that's quite short. I could move the scope, I suppose, but it would then if I set it over there, I mean it's gonna hinder the. There's a few things that are going to have to change, I think, but all in good time. Might see if I can get a picture out of this thing. So what I'm going to do for now is rotate the base that way. It doesn't take up too much more room, I guess. What did they say it was, like a 230mm square? But I mean, I was always a bit concerned about the distance between any edge of the closest edge to where I'm working, but you know, I'm guessing it's quite a big area under there really that I'll be able to work with, and then I can just move the piece around that I'm working on. It's certainly a lot more than I've had to work with in the past. But the base is 230 square. Yeah, 230 square, and the pole sits back at 190 from the furthest edge, if you're trying to measure things up, and dead smack in the middle. So yeah, that'll do for now. Let's see if I can actually use this. Might be a good start. I'm sure I'll use the top edge of that base as the platform as a shelf for garbage. It'll just build up and become another part of the bench really. If I was custom building a bench though, you might cut a recess in the top of the bench and have that sitting flush with the top, maybe. All depends how you like to customize your workshop. Well, I'm having a heck of a time trying to actually see anything through this, so I'm not too sure what's going on there. It's definitely is being difficult. I can see through the eyepieces. As soon as I put the eyepieces in, it's like blank. It's absolutely bizarre. Okay, I had it way too high in the air and it was like looking into a black hole. You got to be within the working distance of the thing as it's designed, and standard working distance is 100 millimeters. Now if I park that there, you may be able to see that it's currently sitting at about 130 to the objective lens at the bottom there, and that's just too high up. And that's with this knob fully rotated to have this in the downward most position, and on the stand here in the most lowest position. So I don't know what their game is, because if it can't work get low enough at its lowest overall position, that's kind of a nuisance really. That puts a bit of a bug in the start, and another good reason to recess your base into your desk. How about that? That'd certainly do it. But as it sits, can't get low enough to look at the desk. So you should be able to focus on the desk. That's my opinion. And then of course move up from there depending on the height of your workpiece. It's focusing about 10 to 15 millimeters off the bench. Hey, something else I just found. So you can adjust how much resistance there is against the motion of the head there. If you were to grab this, hold the other side from turning, and turn this anti-clockwise, that loosens it up, and it's a whole lot freer. And of course, if you tighten it toward where it says tighten there, tension, and that becomes harder to turn. So you get a, I quite like it a bit smoother. But if you make it too loose, it will sort of want to drop down under the weight of itself. So we don't want it to be too loose, but certainly comfortable. That feels good. Yeah. So aside from I was looking into the eyepiece at the wrong angle as well as having us too high up, but yeah, certainly I was trying to go in a bit too straight. It was a bit weird. So if you're trying to get the hang of it, you got to look at a bit of an angle, different range of angles through the eyepieces to try and get what works for your eyes. So I'm going to try the half times barlow lens. It's really good that they included this as part of the deal, because of I believe it gives you a bit more working distance, and I know some people like to do their micro soldering with a half times barlow. So I'll just attach that, and I believe it should thread up into the base. Now the threads, as fine as they are, they feel coarse. They really do. But I guess keep an eye if there's any fragments coming off when you're removing items or inserting them. You might need to give it a blowout every now and then, and be careful on how tight, of course, that you put things in, because it may encourage a thread to start stripping off. So I'm just sort of turning it slowly. There we go. So let's just sort of give that a shot, see what sort of extra distance that might have given me, if any. Oh yeah, that's really changed things. That's changed it quite a lot. I've actually come up quite a way to get that in focus there. Okay, now I'll turn the eyepieces because they're well off. Oh, there we go. Oh, wow, that's sharp. Excellent. And the other eyepiece. There we go. Half my trouble could have been the eyepieces unadjusted. All the fun of setting one up. Certainly the book doesn't tell you, but you got to play around a lot. My eyes are a bit out as well, so it doesn't help anything. So yeah, that's looking great. I can actually focus on the desk, and it's a good working height. I might lift the arm and drop this to compensate, because this is fully raised up now, and that's no good because there's nowhere for me to go. So if I lift the arm up, I can bring it down to halfway, and you get some working room then. Okay, so that's at a good position. It's sitting at half adjustment roughly. I can move up and down to suit. I'm just going to try it at maximum zoom out of curiosity, to sort of see what I might, how much movement it requires to refocus. So if I was to zoom all the way up to 4.5 times, that's so close. Now, do I have to go up or down? Let's just do a little bit. And do I have to go up or down to refocus? I need to go up. So the more you zoom in, the higher you need to lift the head. So if I lift that, oh yeah, that doesn't take much at all. So I've got it at a good position. I can pretty much look straight into it almost, and not have to have my head tilted too much. And the height is such that, yeah, I've got plenty of room to adjust. I might even change that to be even a bit higher, I think. But certainly, I mean, most micro-soldering is only at sort of 10. I've always used 15. My last one was fixed at 15. I can go more now, which is handy, but sort of be nice to have zoomed out slightly more. So the 7 is going to be great, I think so. So I'm just going to lift that slightly more. So I've got an old iPad mini board I'm just having a look at, and this is awesome. I can't begin to describe how crisp the image is. This is really good. It's almost like when I got my new pair of glasses, everything looked like it was in 3D. I mean, it always has been, but you know, it's just so sharp. And I don't even have the ring light attached. I've just got my desk lights aimed at it, and that's really good. Now the ring light is going to attach with the 3 lugs. What do you call them? Grub screws, and there's a groove all the way around here that those grub screws are going to be held in, and that is above the barlow lens. Of course, yeah, you can take the lens off and still attach this, so that's just going to sit up with these fully extended, and then screw them in. And of course it has the ability to be offset either way slightly, because you know, one could be sticking out further than the other. In this case, these ones are the turn greater, so you can just turn them in if you really need it central, but I don't know that that's really going to make a hell of a lot of difference. Ah, this turns separate to the ring. Now I've locked the ring on. Now whether that's going to unscrew out of the ring, I don't believe so. So that allows you to get easy access to the switch and whatnot. That's quite nice. That's quite nice. I like that. I might just because I can, spin that around so that those two are sticking out evenly that way and that way. I like that. That's quite nice. Okay, so now I need to plug that into 12 volts. Must have a 12 volt somewhere. Don't think I've got one of those travel adapters though. Let's see if this makes much difference. Well, it turns on. There's quite a range of brightness. It might be quite hard to see if it really illuminates much more on the workpiece, but that's off, that's on, off, on. So yeah, it certainly gives you a lot better. And if I zoom right in, it should help me maintain. Oh, yeah, focus. There you go. Should help me maintain a better. Turn it off, turn it on. Yeah, it's definitely easier to see with it, even though the working distance is a lot bigger. I never showed you how much bigger it was, did I? So without the barlow lens she was 100mm. Now she's sitting at 170 to the bottom. Yeah, it's about 165. So that's awesome. I mean, you're going to have tons of room to get in there and do your work, as well as it being at a comfortable working height. Yeah, I think the half times barlow lens is definitely the way to go. You can still zoom in. Okay, maybe you lose a bit of zoom. Maybe that's why it didn't feel like 15 times was as much as my old one. But I might take that off and try it. But certainly, I mean, it's plenty. You don't need to go right in too much that often. And so, all in all, overview review. Luzky Zoom through 0.7 to 7 to 45 times trinocular head. Although I'm sure the trinocular port will work fine once I get the camera. The viewing clarity is excellent. I don't see there's a problem there at all. The eyeballs line up quite nicely. The range of adjustment seems to be fairly appropriate, and I think I made the right choice for the single boom arm. I could have gone for the double boom arm. It does look a lot cooler, I'll give it that. Yeah, that's going to work out quite well. I'll use that base as a shelf for something and pile it full of rubbish. I don't believe it's going to get in the way at all. And if it is, well, maybe I'll come back with a part 2 and show you what I do to get around that. But in the meantime, yeah, I think that's really good. The actual listing for this called it a 3.5 to 90 times zoom. So reading further into the description and package contents, it then said that it was only the 7 to 45 times. So I'm not really fussed about that because I don't need 90 times. But looking around, I think the price is about right for a 7 to 45 times head. But yeah, it's just something to be aware of. It might catch you out if you purchased on title alone. You should always look through the listing and identify exactly what it is you're purchasing so that you're not let down when it shows up. But I'm happy that I got what I paid for, and I think it's going to help, and definitely help in the long run, and definitely be able to make some better videos for you guys. I'll get the camera eventually. So there you have it. Thanks for watching. If you've got any questions, you want me to review any particular part of it, or take another measurement for you, then by all means. I don't think one measurement that I don't think I got for you was the height of the pole here, the vertical pole, and from the base you're looking at 380. So if you're looking to try and squeeze that under a bench or something, that's where you're going, 380 for the vertical pole. Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you found it useful and informative, more informative than what I found online about this model, and hopefully it helps you make a decision as to what you need for your bench. Yeah, and I guess you could take the measurements of the double boom arm, for example, and then, what's the word I'm looking for? Not elaborate. Yeah, not procrastinate. Something ending in 8. Extrapolate that from what I've shown you, and go with whatever head that you want to go with on that. So, thank you very much, and until next time, see you later.